Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for another TNT Update webinar. My name is Missy. I work with the Awana staff at Awana headquarters. We are going to be here today talking with you about the new TNT and how to use the new student handbooks in your existing format of TNT Club. I know this is a topic that is important to so many of you. So if you have questions, please ask them as soon as they occur to you so that we have an opportunity to answer all the questions that are out there. Please do so by simply moving your cursor, selecting the little Q&A button on the left-hand side of your screen and typing your question in there as it occurs to you. At the end of the session today, which will be a short one, we'll have a quick moment for taking some questions, and Chris will be able to respond. All right. Now, without much further ado, here is Chris Marchand, our Director of Children's Ministry.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to learn a little bit more about the new update for our Truth and Training program. If you're watching this live, thanks for being with us. If you're just watching this as it's going to be archived and recorded and posted on YouTube. Again, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. We're going to get started by spending some time with a topic that has come up, just recently as we're getting questions in. And again, I would encourage you that if you have questions about the new TNT, you can send those in to us. We'd be more than happy to respond to whatever questions you might have about the new TNT. But one of them comes up is, obviously with the new TNT, we've designed a new structure, a new program structure to go along with it. It's the all-together method. If you're not familiar with this, we have a whole video suite of webinars that we've done to explain this. We're not necessarily going to get into the details today of the all-together method, but it is definitely a program change to TNT. If you're familiar with TNT in the past, a lot of it from the kids' perspective has been self-paced. They're working through their books at their own pace. You're familiar with our traditional 3 divisions during a club night of having game, or some type of a fun activity, large group teaching time, and then having what's classically been known as handbook time. And some of the questions that are coming in is, well, can I use the new handbook with my old existing structure? Because this question's coming in for a variety of reasons. Primarily because one of the biggest changes that we made to the structure of the program with the TNT update is that we replaced handbook time with small group time. And we've had some feedback from some churches that to be quite honest, they're used to their adults coming and spending time with the kids and helping them through their sections, but they're not just they're really not geared to be necessarily small group leaders. They need more training. The church ministry might not necessarily be set up to be a relational environment. There's a whole suite of factors that could play into this. So with that in mind, what I wanted to do in this webinar was just kind of talk through, because we do, we have had some input from some churches that are like, possibly, in a year, I could see us, making a change to the new format, after we've had some, more training, learn more about how to, integrate small group principles into our club ministry. Maybe leaders need to reshuffle the deck in terms of maybe switching and moving some leaders around, as the specific roles and how they're executed are changing quite a bit. So that's what I wanted to do today, is kind of talk about how can well, first of all, the question came in, is it possible to use the new handbook with the old club structure? And the answer is absolutely yes, it is possible. We designed this new program update really with flexibility in mind. There's a lot of flexible options here in terms of the program, but I also just want to give a shout out and just understand that I totally, and believe me when I say this, I totally understand what it means to be, in the position of changing either a program or a curriculum in a ministry. My background was in ministry. Been in children's, youth, and family ministry for over a decade. Most of the churches that I came into, either, one of my particular roles was leading necessary change in those ministries, and change is hard. Not everybody's necessarily excited about change. We get comfortable in our ways. We show up every day, and we or show up to club, and we're just very confident and comfortable with the routine and with the program that we know. And then when change gets introduced into there, so many things, it really can be an unhinging thing. I just want to spend some time talking to you today, specifically about the fact that, hey, if you're not necessarily ready, your minutes, your TNT program isn't ready to make the change to the all-together method or small groups per se, but you really just want to spend this year running a traditional club, that you absolutely can use the new TNT Mission, Grace, and Action handbooks in order to execute your club this year. I brought some props with me. But I have in mind, so I have the new Mission, Grace, and Action handbook, and I have the old TNT Ultimate Adventure 1 handbook right here in my hands. And what I did, even today, I just sat down and just started flipping through them. And obviously, when we did the update, the content here is different. There are some similarities, but largely this the update to the new curriculum is different content. However, some of the structural components are fully present. In fact, if you look at both of these, one of the things that's the same is that they both have memory verses. They both have review verses. They both have just that alone provides a necessary and essential component if you run a traditional club night. As you have handbook time, a lot of the time that leaders are spending during handbook time are helping their kids say their memory verse, and both are included in here. The review verses are included in the some of the other similar things between the two handbooks is you're going to find activities for the kids to do. There's just so many similarities that I just wanted to make it just totally clear that if you're used to using this resource on your club night, you can totally use the new TNT Mission, Grace, and Action handbook with your traditional club model. It still has sections, it still has memory verses, it still has section requirements that a child needs to complete in order to get the sign-off. And what I would encourage you to do this year is, if you're kind of wondering, and maybe you haven't made plans necessarily yet on what you're going to do for your club this coming year, I would just encourage you could totally use the new handbooks in your traditional club model. There's not a whole lot here necessarily from a structural perspective that's changed. Largely what you're going to see, it's in a lot of ways very different content. And so just wanted to share that with you. Another aspect of it that I want to encourage you to do is, as some of you have written in and said that, we're going to, our ministry maybe not be used to, drastic change, so maybe we're going to ease our way into it over the course of the year. I would still encourage you to get the new handbooks, but what I would also encourage you to do, because you really need to see it in action, especially as a pastor, I really didn't know the impact of curriculum until I actually tried it out with my kids. There are so many things from an evaluation perspective that I can do, but even that exercise is so limited, mainly because it's just my perspective, or it's the perspective of a committee, or it's the perspective of just some of the leaders that I've shared either some lessons or some curriculum with. But it's not until I can actually place this curriculum into the field and try it out to see whether or not, or how it's going to work, with my kids. So I would just encourage you that this year, if you're undecided about what you're going to do, if you're going to continue to run a traditional club model, you can still use the Mission, Grace, and Action handbook for your handbook time. It has largely everything in there that you need and that what you've done for section completion time. In fact, I would even say that it has probably more quality of content in the Ultimate Adventure 1 handbook, the old Ultimate Adventure 1 handbook only had 7 Bible studies. And we hear a lot of feedback from churches saying, I want deeper Bible study. I want my kids engaged in the scriptures, actually opening up their Bible. In our old handbook, we only had 7 that we would actually classify necessarily as Bible studies. In the new Mission, Grace, and Action handbook, you have 32 Bible studies plus 32 silver sections, which are an extension of that Bible study. And then on top of that, you have the 32 gold sections, which are 4 more additional verses that the kids have an opportunity to memorize. So in terms of challenge, in terms of work, in terms of just depth of diving into the scriptures, there's far more meat and depth to be found in the new update that we've just released. So I would just strongly encourage you, if you're going to run a traditional club model this year, to check out our new Mission, Grace, and Action handbook. I think it would fit really well into your club structure. But hear me now. Here's the other thing. What I would like you to do is to not only have the new Mission, Grace, and Action handbook in your traditional club, but I would encourage you to also pick up a large group and a small group leader guide. And throughout the course of the year, as you're having traditional handbook time, I would encourage you to maybe tap on some of your leaders and say, hey, could you try this out? Maybe insert a couple of discussion questions here and there. See how it goes. A lot of times we can often have our minds made up about things, but we really need to just test it out. In fact, I had a conversation, just recently. A lady emailed in, just had a ton of questions, and really towards the end of it, the result was, she had fabulous questions, and we worked through them, getting her answers to her questions. But at the end of the day, I think she needs to see it for herself. I think she actually needs to deploy the curriculum in the field with her kids and to see how it goes. So I would encourage every single one of you who is, if you're not going to migrate over to the Altogether method, that you can still use our new update and our new curriculum and our new resources in your traditional club model. We say the same things over and over again. You know your kids best. You are the leaders and the owners of your ministry, and all we're doing is coming alongside of you and providing resources to help you share the gospel and help your kids grow in a deeper discipleship with Christ. So I would encourage you to test it out. I encourage you to try it. Use these resources over the course of the next year and see what works, see what fits for your particular ministry. One of the things that I know is going to come up is if you are going to try it and keep a traditional club model, one of the issues is going to be, well, what about record keeping? One of the things that makes our traditional club model work so well is that we have record keeping that's been done for forever. There may be some tweaking that you might need to do with record keeping in that regard. So there's some shifting and some adjustments that might need to be made. I do want to give a shout out and promotion that right now we are offering 90 days free trial of Mozo, which is our electronic record and club management platform. So right now you could go to awana.org right now and get Mozo free for 90 days and check it out as an alternative that if you don't want to go necessarily the hassle through figuring out, okay, how am I going to adapt a record keeping card for this old structure, we have a digital solution that you could jump on right now, 90 days free. And it could be just the thing to help you, even today, right now, as you're making decisions about what to do for your club this year. We just to wrap up some thoughts on this. We understand totally that this is it's a challenge. It's a challenge to lead ministry. It's a challenge to lead volunteers, and especially when a change comes up. I fully understand the weight that change can have and the impact that it can have. Oftentimes ministries are, like it's a big ship, small rudder. So making turns, we don't turn on a dime. There are churches out there that are super excited about the Altogether update or Altogether method. Excited about the update. They're deploying small groups in their ministries, and they have leaders they've been waiting for this to happen, and that's awesome. Really, this webinar today is just, I just want to extend out a conversation, maybe an invitation to those who, maybe your church isn't like that. Maybe you don't have highly relational ministry. Maybe you have, a traditional Awana club where your kids come and they participate in games and, they hear a large group message, and then you do handbook time where you're helping them memorize your verses. I just want you to leave this webinar knowing that you totally can use our new handbook for your handbook time if you're going to do a traditional method. This curriculum was designed to be flexible, to help meet as many needs in the local church as possible. However, if you are going to use it, I would just encourage you to see about incorporating maybe one or two of the new features that we've developed. Maybe all this year you're just going to see what a fast track time looks like, which is a designated section sign-off. Maybe you're going to inject maybe one or two small group questions at the end when everybody's done with handbook time before you progress to the next segment of club. I would just encourage you that if you are apprehensive about making this change, I would encourage you to give it a try. Not the whole thing all in one swoop, but just a little bit. Take a baby step and see how that goes and reflect on it together as a team. And I think that over time, if you do give it a try, much like I asked this lady to give it a try, and in a lot of ways that's how you're going to know whether or not this is going to be how fully effective it's going to be in your particular ministry setting. So that wraps up a little bit of our time here today. Again, you totally can use the new TNT Mission, Grace, and Action curriculum with your with the older or classic TNT club structure. If you do have questions about this, we would be more than happy to engage with you on this topic. But for now, we're going to turn it over to Missy, see if we have any questions that have come in, and take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Actually, before I even get started in, there are a few questions out there, but before we start into those, I'm just going to scroll down here to leave this information with the audience that's out there watching. If you don't have an opportunity to make it to these webinars live, we are posting them to YouTube. They'll be available there, and you can watch them. Send your friends, your volunteers to get information on the update. Here's where you can go to find them, awana.org/TT update. And if you do have questions that occur to you after watching these webinars or as you get started into using the new features, please email us. Those emails go to our customer care team, and if there's something that they can't answer, they route them directly to the program team. We would so love to hear from you, dialogue with you, help you, with these questions that you're struggling with the features that you might be having a hard time getting your volunteers to embrace. We want to talk to you. We want to coach you through it. So please reach out to us and contact us. Chris, one of the questions that just popped up here is this individual is super excited about the changes being made to TNT, has seen the changes made in Cubbies with the Altogether method. When can we see these changes occurring to Sparks? Is there a plan in the works?
For a lot of people, it's kind of like at a certain time it becomes the odd segment out. Like it's kind of like, well, we did this to Cubbies and we did this to TNT. Why wouldn't we do it to Sparks? I mean, that's also a bit of a long way off in terms of development. We have 3 more years of TNT to get into your hands. If I were to guess, I would say that it is going to follow probably a somewhat similar pattern, but I do want to throw out this a little bit of a caveat there to say that every time we go to make an update, there's extensive research that gets done. The Altogether method works really well for Cubbies. It works really well for 3rd through 6th graders. We need to do our due diligence and make sure that program philosophy and structure is going to work through kindergarten through 2nd graders. But also, we put all options on the table when we talk about this and when we research it and discuss it. So I can't give necessarily a definitive answer because we're just not there yet in our process. I do know that people have asked about that. They've asked me directly about that. People are pretty excited when they think about Altogether method with Sparks. and what that could possibly look like. But at the same time, I mean, all the developmental stages, they're all different, and they all have factors, and some things work good for some. Some might not work well for those stages. That's why we do our research. That's why we put the time in and do our homework and ask good questions and field test curriculum. So that way, when we deploy something, we know that it is in fact going to work in these ministry settings. So yeah, great question. Sorry I can't give you any absolute clarity on that. But it is something that we are considering, and as we get to that point in our development process, we'd be more than happy to take a look at that.
That's awesome, and I think it gives something leaders a reason to look forward to, and reasons to check back at our website. There will be information if anything is being changed. You'll find it at awana.org. Information is posted there first, and our leaders are the first to know, and we want you guys to all be involved in that process. So, all right, that kind of concludes the webinar series, I believe, Chris, for the time. We have no more questions, so is there anything else that you want to say?
Again, I just I wrap up these webinars, and one of the interesting things is you never know who's going to come on here and click them and watch them, and I'm assuming that it's leaders and Awana ministry directors, even pastors, those who really care deeply about our kids, that want to see our kids in lifelong discipleship. They want to see our kids have an understanding of the gospel, and are also equipped and confident to turn around and share it. So that, and I also know what it's like to be in those roles. So I just, if nobody's told you thank you today, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, thank you for what you do. You are making an eternal difference in the lives of these kids. Just briefly to wrap up our time here, I'm here today because I had a JV leader sit down with me and walk me through the starting blocks. That wasn't scared to have a theological conversation with a sixth grader about really in a lot of ways deep issues, and they weren't scared to do that. In fact, they with a smile on their face and joy in their heart, they met me right where I was and started walking with me and helped me frame in the vocabulary, the understanding, really the foundations of my faith. And you get to do that. You get to do that every single week with these kids. So, but from the bottom of my heart, I just say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. If at times it seems like either nobody's watching or paying attention, or maybe there are often times where ministry is just lonely, and sometimes sadly it can be a thankless service. But I just want to take the time and just say thank you. I thank you for what God has done in your lives to bring you to this point where you've accepted the call and you've signed up to serve and be there Wednesday nights. Keep doing what you're doing. You are making a huge, a massive impact in the lives of these kids, and they look up to you. You are heroes in a huge way to them. I could stay here for about for hours upon hours encouraging you guys, simply because the work that you do is so important. You truly are making an impact for the kingdom of God and in the lives of these kids. So with that, we're excited about this year coming up. Again, I would just put it out there that hey, share with us how this goes. If you are going to do a traditional club model, but you're going to pick up the new Mission Grace in Action curriculum and try it out, please share your experience with us. We'd love to hear how it goes, and we're always willing to listen and have an opportunity to dialogue with you and learn more about just what we can do to tweak the curriculum and the design and the structure so that it can be more effective to reaching kids for Christ. So thank you for what you do. Please feel free to share with us, and without further ado, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Wonderful. There's no way it could be said better. Thank you so much, Chris, for your leadership, and thanks to all of our leaders out there for everything that you do to reach kids for Christ. We'll see you soon. Bye.